The date is Thursday, November 26th. This is the news on PBCJ. I'm Simone Absalom, and we continue to monitor the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the Jamaican populace. These are the latest figures released by the Health and Wellness Ministry.
Over the past 24 hours, 98 persons have recovered from COVID-19. The overall recoveries stand at 5,721. 248 persons have so far died in the pandemic, the latest being a 75-year-old male from St. James. The island also recorded 53 new cases on Wednesday. Of the overall 10,541 case count, 4,428 are active. The parish breakdown is as follows. A total of 8 of the new cases were recorded in St. Catherine and St. Anne, 21 in Kingston and St. Andrew, 2 in St. Elizabeth, 5 in Manchester and Trelawney. Clarendon, St. James, St. Thomas and Westmoreland each reported 1 case. Currently, there are 90 persons hospitalized, 17 are showing moderate symptoms, and 12 patients are critically ill. For the news on PBCJ, I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
545 children were reported missing between January to June this year. Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Favour Williams, gave an update in Parliament this week. Melvin Pennant has that report.
The Youth and Information Minister says the number of missing children has decreased by 37.2% when compared to the number of children reported missing during the same period, January to June 2019.
Madam Speaker, I must add that approximately 80% of the children who go missing are girls, while boys comprise 20% of the children missing. As of June 2020, a total of 417 children have been accounted for, with 124 still missing.
She notes that the reduction of reports of missing children could be due to the COVID-19 pandemic because most children have been staying home as part of the government's safety measures.
Many of our children are reported missing when they are away from their homes and are on our roads. Between January and June 2020, 354 families have been contacted. The Ananda Alert Secretariat continues to make contact with families as soon as they are notified of the child's disappearance. They also gather additional details surrounding the circumstances and the family's coping capacity.
According to Minister Williams, the data is collected through the Ananda Alert system being run by the Office of the Children's Registry, OCR, and its partners. It is aimed at mobilizing private sector, civil society, and communities to work with the law enforcement to assist in the speedy and safe recovery of missing children. Melvin Pennant, PBCJ News.
Jamaican men are set to benefit from a psychosocial intervention program being crafted by the government. The move is being spearheaded by the Bureau of Gender Affairs. The disclosure was made by Minister of Gender Affairs, Olivia Grange, during the observance of International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women in Kingston. The Refocus Perpetrators Program is being done in partnership with the Ministry of Justice. It's aimed at reducing incidences of intimate partner violence. The disclosure was made by Minister of Gender Affairs, Olivia Grange, during observation of the International Day for the Elimination of Violence Against Women on Wednesday.
By using alternative conflict resolution through psychoeducational support for the rehabilitation and reform of perpetrators of intimate partner violence. And you understand what the Restorative Justice Program is about in the Ministry of Justice. And so they will use that conflict resolution mechanism to deal with perpetrators of gender-based violence.
Minister Grange says tackling intimate partner violence at both the individual and society level means the establishment and support of rehabilitative treatment for perpetrators.
Men are the main perpetrators, but we can't give up on our men. We have to find a way to help them to be better citizens and to be better human beings. And that will help in reducing gender-based violence against our women and our children.
The Gender Affairs Minister says 1 out of every 5 women in Jamaica reported being sexually abused before they reached the age of 18.
Gender-based violence, ladies and gentlemen, takes many forms: psychological, physical, sexual, and economic.
With that in mind, Minister Grange is reiterating her long-time stance that gender-based violence is everybody's business.
If you see it, feel it, or know of it, report it.
The Register General's Department, RGD, will be introducing premium service packages and attendant fees. This was disclosed by Minister of Education, Youth and Information, Favour Williams, during a virtual post-cabinet press briefing on Wednesday.
The packages are for the processing of the same-day and next-day service for birth, death, and marriage certificates where applicable. The fee structures are $7,500 for the same-day service and $6,000 for the next-day service. The proposed services are in response to the request of customers. The introduction of the proposed premium service would not replace the existing 3 service platforms that carry a maximum wait time of 4 days, 10 days, and 30 days.
Cabinet has also approved for a contract for the implementation of recommendations for the rationalization of public bodies.
Cabinet also gave approval of a contract to PricewaterhouseCoopers Tax and Advisory Services in the amount of $143.0 million, excluding taxes, for the implementation of the recommendations for the rationalization of public bodies.
Every type of movement counts. That's the word from the World Health Organization, WHO, as the new WHO guidelines on physical activity and sedentary behavior was launched on Wednesday. The new guidelines recommend at least 150 to 300 minutes of moderate to vigorous aerobic exercise or activities per week for all adults. The new guidelines also notes the need for people living with chronic conditions or disability to engage in physical activities, and an average of 60 minutes per day for children and adolescents as well. Older adults aged 65 years or older are advised to add activities which emphasize balance and coordination, as well as muscle strengthening to help prevent falls and improve health. WHO statistics show that 1 in 4 adults and 4 out of 5 adolescents do not get enough physical activity. Globally, this is estimated to cost $54 billion in direct health care and another $14 billion to lost productivity. In a statement, the WHO encourages countries to adopt the global guidelines to develop national health policies to support the WHO Global Action Plan on Physical Activity 2018 to 2030. The plan was agreed to by global health leaders at the 71st World Health Assembly back in 2018. Motorists will have to fork out more for gas and diesel this week. We get these and other market details in this edition of the Business Report with Gabriel Thompson.
According to the latest ex-refinery costs from Petrojam, motorists should see an increase at the pumps in the prices of gasoline and diesel effective Thursday, November 26. Following an increase of 42 cents each, 87 and 90 octane gasoline will be sold for $106.57 and $109.40 per liter, respectively. Automotive diesel fuel will be sold for $110.96 per liter, following an increase of $2.03, while ultra-low sulfur diesel is up by $2.37 and will be sold for $113.48 per liter. Meanwhile, kerosene saw a price increase of $2.50 and will be sold for $85.13 per liter. Propane liquid petroleum will be sold for $45.21 per liter, down by $1.41, and butane liquid petroleum will be sold for $52.10 per liter, after an increase of 25 cents. Marketing companies and retailers will add their respective markup to these prices. In Wednesday's trading session, the JSE Combined Index advanced by 2,027 points to close at under 400,000 units. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 84 stocks, of which 43 advanced, 34 declined, and 7 traded firm. The Junior Market Index declined by 70 points to close at under 3,000 units. Stocks advanced for 138 Students Living Jamaica, 1834 Investments Limited, and AMG Packaging and Paper Company. Stocks declined for Access Financial Services, Barita Investments, and Blue Par Group Limited. Trading firm were Epley Limited 5% preference shares, Honeybun Limited, and Main Event Entertainment Group. Barita Investments Limited was the volume leader with 3.2 million units, followed by Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited with 2.4 million units and Fostrich Company Limited with 2.4 million units. Now for the foreign exchange. The US dollar on Wednesday, November 25, ended trading at $148.03. The Canadian dollar sold for an average $113.53. The pound sterling traded for $196.87, and the euro ended trading at $178.81. Oil slipped from 7-month highs on Thursday as signs of growing supplies helped to halt a rally driven by optimism that vaccines will revive fuel demand. Brent crude futures were down 75 cents to $47.86 a barrel. West Texas Intermediate crude futures slipped 72 cents to $44.99 a barrel. And that does it for this edition of the Business Report on PBCJ. I'm Gabrielle Thompson.
Jamaica and the United States share a long-standing bond, with approximately 700,000 Jamaicans living in the United States. Now, Thanksgiving is the biggest holiday in the U.S., and there is no Thanksgiving without a good turkey. In this episode of Culinary Trails, we explore how to prepare the centerpiece for the perfect Thanksgiving meal.
Having washed the turkey, we now are going to season it up so it can taste really nice. My secret sauce.
Thanksgiving.
In regional news, the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association has joined 5 other manufacturers associations in the Caribbean to launch a regional body to deal with issues that affect Caribbean producers. Sunil Lala attended the virtual signing ceremony and filed this report.
The current pandemic has forced countries to innovate in order to keep their economies alive and to assist the Caribbean in having one voice for producers. 6 manufacturing associations across the Caribbean, from Barbados, Dominica, Guyana, Jamaica, St. Lucia, and Trinidad and Tobago, have formally signed a document to give life to the Caricom Manufacturers Association. This new body is tasked to provide unified positions on regional manufacturing matters, fostering Caribbean integration and promoting regional products. The consensus at Wednesday's signing ceremony is that due to the current pandemic, manufacturers now more than ever have a central role in developing the economy. Chief Executive Officer of the Trinidad and Tobago Manufacturers Association, Franca Costello, believes this new entity will help unify the Caribbean and gain an even more competitive edge.
This will promote stable growth and connectivity in the region. We will work regionally to promote and expand our trading space as a means of strengthening our collective economy by supporting our local Caribbean economy.
Meanwhile, Trade Minister Paolo hailed the coming together of the region's private sector and believes it will be an initiative to help expand manufacturing.
With all of us having different resources, we may not produce, each country may not be able to produce a final product. However, what is required is the pooling of our resources based on what we are blessed with and what we can produce, the pooling of our resources so that we can, in fact, develop these regional value chains.
And Barbados' Minister in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Sandra Husbands, said this initiative is timely due to the pandemic. She urged regional markets to take advantage of the opportunity.
Close to 40 to 60% of trade by major trading firms across the world happen within their own free trade areas, in their own trade agreements. In the region, we've only been able to command, I believe last year, 13%.
The Caricom Manufacturers Association is also expected to facilitate the easier movement of capital, easier access to non-skilled labor, and strengthen the Caribbean market by having joint marketing missions and shared participation at global events. Sonolala.
A viral video depicting 2 American visitors to St. Lucia not wearing masks caused a firestorm of controversy weeks ago. Now, the couple at the center of the controversy has broken their silence.
2 visitors caught on camera, seemingly breaking mandatory mask protocol, have broken their silence in a lengthy missive on the now infamous viral video of locals confronting the tourists in the Rodney Bay area. The letter states that the American tourist had not been in Florida since January and had been sailing from country to country to experience new cultures. It reads, quote, "While walking, we had numerous locals on the street not wearing masks demand to know where we are from and what resort we are staying at. While we don't like being singled out just for our appearance, we understand the fear of COVID, so we are happy to talk to locals about where we have been and how we are certain we are not spreading the virus." It goes on. However, in many of our interactions with locals, it was clear that we are not wanted here. We have left St. Lucia and sadly, at the moment, we have no desire to return. We hope that St. Lucians can reconcile their different views on tourism and foreigners and achieve a healthy balance that supports the local economy while protecting and preserving the island's identity and tradition. Unquote. PS in the Ministry of Tourism, Donaline Vite, says the incident should serve as a reminder to nationals of the importance of abiding by protocols.
As a country and as a people, we need to be very practical, and the expectations that we have for others, we also need to have for ourselves. And there is one good takeaway for me in this experience is that we need to understand and be a little more responsible in adhering to the protocols. Whereas we have two persons that were highlighted, I want to look at them not in the context of tourism, but in the context of people and how we respond to the protocols and how this response now could mean a lowering of the incidence of COVID for us.
Vitae says the clash between locals and visitors goes beyond an isolated incident. She says it should foster a change in attitudes of persons who are still reluctant to follow protocols.
Not just for tourism, but as a nation and as a people, how will we respond and how we protect St. Lucia for all of us?
The Prime Minister also added his voice to the conversation, stressing the importance of maintaining tourism as the lifeline to economic recovery for the island.
We need to continuously find that balance of between lives, saving lives, and saving livelihoods. Tourism, we've shown that even in the midst of this pandemic, that we can have our borders open and we can get people to come here. And here we're an example of two people that followed the proper protocols to come to St. Lucia. And so there has to be a greater level of tolerance and respect to each other, both by the tourists to St. Lucians, but equally St. Lucians to the tourists, in order for us to coexist.
Tourism accounts for 65% of the gross domestic product in St. Lucia. The World Health Organization cautions against blaming and shaming certain groups of people during the coronavirus pandemic. Solange Alfred, HTS News Force.
Sports. As the football world continues to mourn the death of football great Diego Maradona, the mayor of Naples has begun the formal process to rename the São Paulo Stadium for Diego Maradona. The city operates the São Paulo Stadium, where Maradona led Napoli to its only two Serie A titles in 1987 and 1990. The great football player died Wednesday of a heart attack at age 60. 2 weeks after being released from hospital in Buenos Aires following brain surgery. And that's our package. Join us tomorrow, same time, same place for the news on PBCJ, the People's Station.